So, Michael, you spent, I believe, 15 years at Mastercard, including considerable time in the Middle East before
right.
being announced as CEO, I think just a few weeks before COVID.
2 weeks before the lockdown started.
Wonderful timing. They didn't tell you this was going to be in your inbox.
Yes, exactly. 4 weeks later, the revenue of the company fell off the cliff.
Yeah. It seems like a long time ago, but obviously you succeeded Ajay Banga, who's also busy this week, as now World Bank president. So I'll be interested to hear about whether that's your next move eventually. But you've been central even before you took the job of CEO to Mastercard's financial inclusion strategy and to a transformation story. You're turning it from a consumer-centric, so card-centric business to a much more diversified digital payments company, spanning open banking and all sorts of things, which we can get into. But before we do, I want to talk about what you're seeing right now, because Mastercard has this incredible kind of real-time insight into consumer spending.
Right.
At your last earnings, you said the strength of consumer spending was a tailwind. The consumer sentiment surveys we are looking at right now point to something very different. But how are you actually seeing that affecting spending?
Right. So I think it's important for us to look at the consumer. The consumer is exposed to all the news and changes that we all observe, and clearly they are taking it all in and making their decisions. And we have seen in the University of Michigan Consumer Confidence Study that it's affecting consumers' confidence. But it's interesting when you start to look at the headlines on one hand, and when you look at soft data, and I would call a confidence study soft data, and then you look at the hard data, and the hard data is spending data. We have an economics institute at Mastercard. It's a wonderful resource where we look at our own spending data on the Mastercard network, but we look at broader spending across the economy. And this is real-time data, and just picking the month of March, 1.4% increase in consumer spend. So nothing out of the ordinary. So the hard data is not reflecting yet, but it's not reflecting where the consumer is. Now, if you go back a year or so, you go back 1.5 years, and you look at a time of heightened inflation, which affects consumer confidence as much, because you will have to make decisions on discretionary spend versus non-discretionary spend. Are you going to make that trip, yes or no? And the consumer has adjusted to that. So the consumer today is an empowered consumer that will still stick to what they want to do. They still want to make that trip. Do I do 2 trips? Maybe not, or maybe I don't travel that far. But the adjustment to the environment, the consumer has clearly learned. So all of this is transpiring right now, as in we don't see any change at this point. But you look down the road, and we will, as a company, of course, because we have these data sources, continue to monitor. Yep. It's the most asked question that I get. And then when I say what I just said, people say there must be something more. But right now there's not.
So taking that, how are you scenario planning right now?
Right.
What are you actually planning for? Are you taking into account the possibility of a high possibility of a recession? Do you think that's still a very remote possibility right now?
So, when you think about what we do as a company, we facilitate the purchasing of goods and services. On one hand, it's a big part of our business. We also provide a whole range of services that are tied to powerful underlying secular trends that have nothing to do with the economy. For example, cybersecurity solutions. We're one of the largest providers globally. So our scenario planning goes to people will always pay in an up cycle and a down cycle, because we have to sustain our digital lives. That's what we power. So our scenario planning isn't one of dark clouds. We start to look at the nuances where we say, this part of the world is going to see more impact than other parts of the world, but we are in 210 countries and territories, so it is a very well-diversified business. So right now, there isn't a scenario where we're saying, I have not used the R word, where this is a dramatic impact on us, at least. We're also not the full economy. If you look at the manufacturing sector, that is not generally what we deal with.
Sure.
So that is important to look at as well.
it feels like the digital payments world has exploded. There's just so
In a
much.
positive way, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you doing to differentiate Mastercard right now?
Right. So I was at dinner not too long ago where one of our business partners pulled out a card that is from another brand. And we got into this conversation about differentiation. And we got into this conversation where he essentially made the point you just made. New business partner, I have to say. And we got into this conversation about the choices that people today have in payments. You can pay with cash, you can pay with checks, you can pay with your wallet, you can pay with stable coins, you can pay with your crypto balances, you can pay any which way you like. And you can pay through a bank, you can have a payment solution directly with your favorite retailer. All of that is open today, so the competitive landscape has literally exploded. How do you differentiate in a world like that? Well, we're not a front-end B2C company. So we're not a Sony or a Walmart. We power the Sonys and Walmarts with our solutions on the back side. So we love the competition. We love the choices that are now on the market. We were the first company that went out to say, cards isn't the answer to everything. Clearly, there's other ways to pay. You come from the UK, faster payments. This is the longest standing real-time payment system, which is something that we power today, because in the end, technology will take us to different places. Consumer expectation will take us to different places. We need to continue to innovate around that.
And do you think Mastercard can win the competition in digital payments? I mean, we just saw Visa take over your credit card deal with Apple, for example. When you go head-to-head?
I'm curious. I have not seen that. I've seen the headline. But
okay.
I have not seen it.
Is this happening or not?
So there was a headline in the Wall Street Journal that said that was covering this particular topic, and then it stopped at a certain point. So
it
has not happened.
Okay, all right. Well, but more broadly speaking,
yes.
Do you think with all of these newer players in the market, Mastercard can win this competition?
So imagine our management table. So what do we talk about? This is a key question. But our focus isn't really so much on the strategy of competition. We have said our opportunity is in providing the widest range of consumer payment solutions, of services and payment solutions for small businesses and for corporates. And then we have a set of payment agnostic solutions or services that deal with cybersecurity, with data insights, and so forth. It's a very simple strategy. And we've been consistent with the strategy now for 5 years, and that's where the focus is. And we power the rest of the ecosystem. So, you mentioned another company right now. A lot of people compare and say it's the same. Well, the geographic footprint isn't the same. The services proposition isn't the same. So one has to really go into the depth, which I will avoid right now, but we do feel very well positioned. It really comes down to one thing. What is my customer's problem? So take a large retailer. What is their one thing that they want? They don't want a checkout experience. Because who wants checkout? Who wants to stand on a line? Or who wants to have a complicated checkout page on their web page? So making that as simple as possible and making my customer's problem our problem, see how do we do away with that? What is the answer to this particular question was it's biometrics. You open your phone, if that can work on a browser, if that can work on your phone, if that can work for any payment you make, wouldn't that be wonderful? We created that standard, we pushed that out, and standard setting and industry leading, that's how you set yourself apart from the rest.
This clearly is a technology challenge and probably has been for the 60 years of Mastercard's existence, but how are you specifically leveraging AI right now, and where are you seeing the biggest returns on that investment?
We have 3 minutes left. We did not come to AI yet, so I'm surprised. This was probably the longest time that I've been in any such conversation. So artificial intelligence. So we have 160 billion transactions run through our system every year. And machine learning and traditional AI and rules-based AI was how we've done that. It's the only way to deal with that, so that your transaction only goes through if it should and it doesn't go through if it shouldn't. What we're now doing is we're leveraging generative AI. And then you say, well, why does this even make any sense? So take the following scenario. It's the weekend and your partner has said, why don't we go and travel XYZ? to XYZ destination. You say, well, how many miles do I have for this hotel, in my hotel account, my airline account? What is the latest information on what is a cool destination, etc. So all of these things that you go through manually. In a world of agentic commerce, you have a smart agent that knows all your preferences and all of your balances and all of that and will book this thing in 2 minutes. We enable travel. We enable commerce. And we have a lot of data, not personalized data, I should add, but data on, through loyalty partnerships that we have with our customers where people give the consent to put their miles information in, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this can be put together, and then the agent goes all the way through to the booking, all the way through to the payment. The world isn't designed around this today, but you can see a world where you have 5, 6 agents in your life that do this for you, and everybody else has 5, 6 agents in your life, and then you start to see how these agents do business with each other.
So how do you need to work with the creators of those agents to make Mastercard the beneficiary?
In the end, because if everybody does their own thing, that will not work. So interoperability of all of these agents coming together to make such a transaction simple and smart and safe, and in a way trustworthy, where it's clear how data privacy is dealt with and so forth. Those are the kind of things we do today, and that we have now done in non-cards payments, and then we will do for agentic commerce going forward. So this is a very exciting point in time to say payments can be smarter, they can be faster. Agentic commerce. My next marketing approach could be to market to an agent, a commerce agent. So that is where our thinking is going as we look ahead.
If you take a snapshot right now, where has AI saved you the most money or made a process most?
On the cybersecurity side, very clear. Fraud management today, we have invested over the last, since 2018, we've invested $11 billion in keeping our own four walls safe and putting out safety and security products for our customers. We have now, through a whole range of solutions, put out a goal to save $120 billion in fraud by 2030. So that is a lot of saving for the industry, for our customers, for consumers. And yet again, for that, we use generative AI. Today, you can have a situation where somebody steals your card data. It's somewhere sold on the dark web. We scan the dark web, and we get this information in real time, 1 trillion data points in real time, and we flag it to the bank, says this card data has been exposed somewhere. Please stop this customer from using it and issue a new card.
I'm going to end on a rather different payments technology question.
Right.
The president is phasing out the federal government's use of paper checks. Yes. Has your industry finally defeated its nemesis?
We have been on it for a long time. When the executive order about the modernization of payments came out, we were like cheering. This is exactly what is needed. This is dated industry, data technology, and now having the safety and security of digital payments, and that can reach anybody. Anybody who has a debit card in the United States can now get any kind of support payment or make tax payments.
It only took Mastercard 60 years
to beat
the check. But
there you go.
Thank you, Michael.
That should not be the headline, but there you go. Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.